Hi everyone, welcome everybody. Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue tout le monde. Welcome to your first session of the fall, your first online session of the fall season. Well, not quite fall yet, but soon to be. With the National Technical Team with me, I have Melissa. Hello, Melissa. I have Breen Trott, Jamie Forbes, and Nick Burley. So welcome everybody. Tonight, as you saw in the invitation for this session, it's going to be an English session, but however, if you have questions in French, we have people that can take these questions. Please feel free to add any question through the session in the chat. We won't be taking any speaking question because we're expecting quite a few people. So please write them in the chat. And we have been receiving a bunch of questions from members already, so we'll be answering these through this session. And first, before we get started with this, I just want to introduce a little bit what's the tech team role again, just to remember which type of question we'll be answering. So the National Technical Team for CASI holds up for the technical side, the educational side of the association. So that's a group of volunteer people who are providing advice and consulting with the staff team for CASI and the board of directors to make sure that we stay on track with our technical side of the organization. So we'll be obviously answering any questions that are related to our program or course content, programs content, scheduling, for example, and anything that's technical or teaching or instructor training related. And we'll try to run for about 40 minutes maximum. So without waiting anymore, I'll go on with the first question that we received. So I'll be reading the question. There was one question that was more addressed towards, I'll read it, but that was more addressed towards, it should be addressed towards the board of directors. Do you plan to recognize 25 plus 30 years member like the CSIA? Any plans in the works for 25 plus years member to get a national break of at least 50% or more on lift tickets nationwide, or Alpha lifetime teaching would be actual useful for members. Something would be really nice, even recognition. So these are the type of question that I will take this question and transfer it to the right people. So this is something that could be answered, for example, in an annual general member meeting in an AGM. So second question, my son did his level 1 snowboard instructor last January. How long does this certification last? Jamie, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, sure. For life. Basically, if you pass a certification, you get it for life. What you do have to do is renew your dues every season. You also have to be able to do an online update that is available normally around August, early September. And this will give you access to all the benefits that CASI has.
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, and you have access as a member paying your dues. You have access to a free member sessions every season. So one session and then unlimited member session for the cost of 96 and 86 cents plus taxes. So that's worth it. Third question, why have you decided to not run any level 3 course or visit outside of Canada for this coming winter? This is a good question. This is a question that we have received so far from a few members. I'll be answering this one. So we are currently reviewing our level 3 programs. And for that reason, we need to pause the program for this season to 2024-2025. That's why the last set of course and exams were in New Zealand this September, because it was part of the previous season, which is 2023-24. So these were the last before we pause the level 3 programs abroad. The decisions about this program will be communicated in appropriate times. It's really important for us to provide a good product, and reviewing this product takes some time. And this is like, we want to make sure that we're answering the industry needs adequately. So we're taking our time to do the appropriate reviews. When looking at the level 3 carving task, what are some tips to achieve symmetry in third shape? In third shape, I always find my heel side carve is much bigger than my toe side carve, with the position being so different. What are some common fixes? I'll transfer it again to Jamie, because I know he really, really wanted to answer this question. So Jamie, here you go.
Yeah, as you said, it's a completely different position. So what we find is that we make the same amount of movement on the toe and the heel, and you're going to get a drastically different effect. So if you go back to maybe stop and hops as an exercise, you'll see how much more you're angulating your knees in particular on your heel edge, because you've got to compensate for the lack of ability to use your ankles. So take some video, see if you're moving vertically the same amount as you do when you do a stop and hop. And I think that would be a good idea. Another tip with that is, if you are moving it, is when you're moving. If you move down too much too early in the turn, you actually take bend out of the snowboard. And so it's going to draw the turn out. So try resisting and then flex down through the turn.
Cool. Thanks, Jamie. Tech team members, if you have anything to add at any points for one of the questions, just let me know, and please jump in. Feel free.
Can I add to that one?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I just want to share something that helped me with a similar challenge when I was improving my carving. And when you say symmetry, you often are describing like the symmetry between the two turns. But if you have the opportunity, like Jamie said, to do some video, look at the symmetry between the top and the bottom of the turn as well, and see if you have symmetry between the two turns and throughout that arc.
Good point. I like that. Thanks. Anything else, team? Good. Sweet. Okay. Next question. Where are we? Okay, here. Can you all add series on YouTube about some teaching, like actually help people to prepare for being an instructor? So that's definitely on our radar. We have filmed and prepared a few tips last seasons, like many tips. So it's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. It's on our radar. It takes time, and we're hoping to provide these at some point, either before the start of the season or throughout the season. Teaching tips. Sorry. When to use open position and when to use closed position. Breen, I'll defer this question to you.
Hey guys, that's a good question. Usually when we're teaching people how to snowboard, we stick with the neutral position. So neutral meaning that your zipper is aligned with your front foot. So that's the best place to start. I guess if the question is geared more towards carving, usually when we're teaching someone, we keep them closer to that neutral position. And as they get more advanced, they might open up a little bit more, a little bit past neutral, to help them get a little bit lower, like on that heel slide, like we were talking about earlier. But generally, I'd say sticking as close to neutral is probably your best bet.
Cool. Thanks. Anything else you want to add, team?
I'll add something to that. I think maybe taking a step back from what Breen was just talking about with carving, if we're trying to teach people that maybe aren't exactly there yet, they're still learning a little bit more like beginner or intermediate skills. I think if you're sticking to a neutral stance, it can help the rider prevent from having involuntary things happening while they're riding. If you tend to turn your upper body, you might involuntarily be turning your hips with your knees, and that can force the board in a direction you're not trying to get it to go. So teaching the neutral stance to start with and creating the muscle memory that comes along with being comfortable in that position is going to give you more desired outcome than trying to fight against some movements that you might not be doing intentionally.
Thanks. Jamie, do you want to explain the difference between, that leads to another question that I find like a lot of members ask. So do you want to explain the difference between being open, counter rotation and separation?
Yeah. Counter rotation is basically when there's the opposite action happening. So you're creating a lot more torsion through your core. Separation is where you've created a tiny bit of tension in order to maintain a stronger position. The counter rotation is much more of a dynamic movement, but it's for sure more unbalanced until you revert back. Whereas creating a tiny bit of separation upper and lower body allows you to engage the core muscles and stops a lot of folding, which is kind of why we create that slightly open or slightly separated position in neutral.
Thanks. Mel, do you want to provide a couple examples or some examples of what separation would be in freestyle, for example? Like how would you use it? How do you use it when you freestyle for some of the tricks? Oh, you're on mute, Mel.
Thank you. I find that the slightly more open position or that neutral position that Jamie was describing allows me to move more freely in all the different planes of movement. So rotationally, vertically, it allows me to be a lot more stable as well if I'm doing a little bit more freestyle. So even just doing like a 50-50 on a box, for example, I would stand in that slightly more like neutral position, that slightly more open position, and I would feel a lot more stable there.
Yeah, cool. And Breen, like if you're pushing to building on what Mel is saying, if you're pushing into some more advanced trick, how would you use some of these movement in freestyle?
Well, we can use separation quite a bit on rails and boxes. So when we're learning how to spin in and out of boxes, we're usually creating some separation. So like if you can think of yourself in a board slide, you're separated. Your shoulders are going to kind of be in line with the feature and your board sideways. So that's a little bit of separation. And then as we continue to progress, as we hop onto rails or boxes, we might use some rotational energy before we get onto the box of the rails.
Oh, frozen Breen.
Our board onto the feature, but we allow our upper body to keep rotating, and that makes some separation. And then when we're doing jumps and stuff like that, we use separation to create some variation when we're doing kind of tweak grabs or shifties in the air, that kind of thing.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks, team. Wanted to get a little bit, I know this was not part of the question we received, but I wanted to get a little bit deeper in it because I feel that these are questions that we get often. Thank you for taking them on the fly. Another question regarding Enterski. So I'm always interested in the presentation at Enterski, but I feel we as members get a pretty minimal amount of content from it. Would it be possible to video capture some of the session and upload them or run some online content related to each Enterski member favorite session? So during every Enterski, at least for the last few ones, we have been producing a blog, and every tech team members that attend Enterski are required to write articles based on the sessions that they attend throughout the day. We also, the last Enterski we've been providing some videos, and I believe the previous as well, but I'm just speaking for myself, but my only Enterski experience was on the last one, and we provided like a bunch of videos and social medias. These are the things that we're trying to do. One thing to keep in mind is that Enterski is a congress, so when we're going there as a team, we're very busy listening to session, participating into session. It's kind of a like train running, right? It doesn't really stop, and I'm sure the other tech team member who've been to Interski before can advocate for this as well. Like we're there to connect with people, and there's a lot of really good exchange, really good chats, really productive things that we're bringing back to also take a step back on our stuff, look back at what we're doing, and try to see like if we can all, it's always good to compare yourself as an association. So there's no best other place to do it that at Interski, because a lot of the association, pretty much every association are going there and attending. So this is definitely an opportunity that sometimes it might seem a little bit like you don't get the direct impact, but I can guarantee that we definitely use all of what we're bringing back in our thinking through anything that we're reviewing, building, creating in our programs. So that's for us. This one is a fun one. Who got the nicest heel side turn in Cassie? Let's get to the bottom of this once and for all. Sorry, I'll say that again. Who's got the nicest heel side turn in Cassie? Let's get to the bottom of this once and for all. I don't know. I don't know what to answer to this one, but it makes me think that maybe we should be running a contest for the 30th anniversary. I don't know. Maybe that's something. I do know that I know a few people that have a really nice heel side turn. So I don't know, maybe my colleagues want to answer something else.
I'm not opening that one up.
I can tell you who doesn't have the nicest heel side turn in Cassie. This guy.
Nice.
I could think of a couple of people. Jamie Forbes, Jeff Chandler, Jake Bowling. Is this like everyone in Cassie?
I hope you're going to put my name there or Mel.
Yeah, Geneviève Pilotto.
Yeah, come on.
John Shelley, that guy can turn a snowboard. Mike Bray.
Adam Gardner.
Gardner.
That's it. It's a can of worms, right?
So
Ross Dunlop for sure. Holy, yeah.
Yeah, so many people.
Yeah.
But that would be cool to maybe have, that's something, Rob, I know you're on the session there, but just a suggestion here, like maybe running a video contest for best heel side turn. Anyway.
And worst.
All right, the next one, this is going to be for you, Nick, because he seems to be keen to answer these type of questions. That's similar veins. So what is the best method grabbing inside the binding or nose? No, that's not quite similar, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, if you look at like some of the best methods in snowboarding history, like it depends who you're looking at. Jamie Lynn grabs between the bindings, and he has a legendary method. Nicholas Mueller grabs the nose, and he has a legendary method. Danny Davis grabs the nose. I mean, it depends what you're going for. But I think for whoever is trying to learn how to do methods or improve on their methods, I think there's a lot of variables. How flexible are you? And what's the outcome you're trying to get? Do you want to arc your back? Do you want to poke your back leg out? Do you want to try to hold it? Do you want to bone it? I mean, that's kind of the beauty of being able to do tricks in a sport like snowboarding. There's not really any rules. Just make it feel good. And if it feels good, then that's what matters, right?
I like that. If it feels good, that's what matters. I've answered this one previously. Why New Zealand can run level 3 course exam this summer and why Japan cannot. I'll say that again, like because New Zealand was under the 2023-24 season. So this was the last of this season. Next one. Okay, my name is, I'm a Cassie level 2 instructor. I have a question regarding riding moguls, specifically in various conditions, such as icy, powder, slushy, or mixed terrain. While I understand that getting mileage is key to improving, I'm curious if there are specific techniques or drills that can help accelerate learning or improve performance on different type of moguls. Any insight or recommended exercise would be greatly appreciated. I'll defer this question to Mel to start with.
Yeah, mileage, obviously super important. Depending on where you are in your progression, some of the tactics that you would have learned in your level 2, like using the legs more independently as shock absorbers, right? So absorbing with one and then extending while absorbing with the other leg is a really good one. Changing kind of the pitch of the slope. So if you're being challenged with the terrain, try to find a gentler slope to practice on, and you can increase the challenge from there or increase the speed from there. Yeah, I think that's a really good place to start.
Thanks. Anything else you guys want to add?
One I always like to use is find somewhere really mellow, just undulating to start with. Try sliding 180s or 360s. This allows you to stay on top of your board and really get used to the feel of the board moving under you. I find when people moving from the 2 to the 3, the moguls jump is pretty big, and we end up jamming onto edge and not steering through. So just getting comfortable letting the board slide around under you, and then you'll be able to not only concentrate on the up and down shock absorber action, but actually the direction you want the mogul to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a big one definitely is the practice different line choice, and to be good at line choosing, you need to experiment with different line choice, right? So different terrain, different strategies. So sometimes you might want to push it just to the limit of being almost not out of control, but crank it up and be fast. And then sometimes you want to tune it down, work on more the turn shape within the mogul. Sometimes you might just want to choose a line that's just, okay, I'm just going to write it and just write the bottoms, just write the holes between the moguls. Or sometimes I might just write the top and maybe I'll do some double ups, or these are different strategies that you can explore, but definitely banking the moguls and learning how to on edge, detune your edge, flatten the board a little bit. In French, we say mise à plat, so put the board on flat a little bit. Anything else, guys? Nick and Breen?
One thing that helped me was when you get, some of the mountains have big traverse lines, so riding those traverse lines across the hill. So I mean, if you don't have traverse lines, you can just ride diagonally across the moguls, but working on trying to pump them to get energy out of them. So kind of like a border class track, pumping the moguls to generate speed. That really helped me, kind of like Mel was saying, so you can work on that independent leg movement. And then often you'd have to do the traverses switch because you wanted to be on your toe side edge. So that also really helped me. Riding mogul switch really improved my regular riding.
Yeah, cool. I think definitely developing lots of options in the mogul. So by exploring all these planes of movement, different technique and tactics. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say that not necessarily forcing yourself to ride fast all the time, not just in the moguls, but in the moguls, I guess, because that's what we're talking about. But learning how to ride the terrain for what it is, like you were talking about line choice. But instead of charging through, taking your time, slowing yourself down, and trying to place your board in the pockets where it's naturally going to go. And progressively, as you ride, if you slow yourself down and you're focusing on doing nice round turns, eventually, as you ride slow, the slowness is going to make you ride smoother, and the smoothness is what's going to help you eventually ride faster. If that's your objective. But really slowing yourself down and making it feel right, and instead of getting bucked around, and at the end of the run you get frustrated. I think slowing yourself down and getting a nice smooth flowy feeling through the moguls is eventually what's going to help you generate the feeling that we're looking for, just to ride smoothly through challenging terrain.
Yeah, and sometimes if you feel yourself maybe charging a little bit too much or wanting to push it, then it's always good to just slow down, stop, kind of reset, restart smooth and progress. I think for me, playing with the rhythm and the moguls is really big, really finding your pace until according to the type of moguls you have, because sometimes, let's face it, triangle high C moguls can be can deserve a different technique or different strategy than smooth powdery moguls where you can just basically fly over them. So playing with that. Yeah, cool. Thanks, team. Next one. Can you schedule some prep courses and member session at Sun Peaks? Canada's second largest resort. Yes, for sure. Our schedule has gone live on September 16. Keep in mind that our schedule is always evolving, and there's some events can be added through the season. We're deserving the resorts, and we're working with our resorts partners to add courses. So courses and sessions and prep course. So it's often upon request from the snow school. So this is something like keep an eye out. And if you don't see a session right now on the schedule, it might come later. The new level 4 standard videos shows a lot of buttering for the park standards. I have never seen anyone pass the exam buttering or in a demo. Could you elaborate on this a bit? Is buttering in between feature and courage? So it is not expected for a candidate to butter in our park task. If you look at the task, the standard. However, according to the park, there might be occasion for it, and we're definitely looking for the skills and the competencies to be shown at this level. Candidates know how to do butters for sure, and they will probably use some buttering on Terran Park feature. In the level 4 standard video, we're trying to show well-rounded writers and like some in between the tasks also. So that's why you're seeing this in this video, to show a little bit more of an overall writing image. All right, how to prepare for a retest, any retest. So let's say like how to prepare for a retest, whether it's a level 1 course, level 2, level 3, level 4. Is there any one of the team who wants to answer this one? Jamie, you go. That's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. All right, I'm good with this. How to prepare for a retest. You've got a few options available to you. First of all, reread the feedback form. I personally, when I was going through the process, I wasn't looking at the tick boxes or the marks. What I was looking at are the common threads in comments. Because anyone that's an evaluator already will know that, so the core competencies, for example, there's so much overlap, and you don't just want to repeat yourself. So you'll put a comment in someone's form that could affect their mobility, but you're talking about edging. And so people then just hang on to the edging idea, whereas it's still thinking about being well-rounded. So read them, understand movement patterns that are getting highlighted, not particular skills. Just look at the big picture. And then I would get some video. If you've got access to an in-resort trainer, get some training with that. If you can do a member session, go for a member session. If you can contact anyone that can give you advice that has been through a similar process, I advise you to do so.
Yeah, definitely come to the retest, prepare and having put the time to assimilate what you've learned through the course, because this is also what are the expectation. Like the evaluators will be expecting that you have had that mileage when you're coming to the retest as well. So just like if you were going through the course and receiving the feedback and applying it. So we're expecting, it's expected from you to work on the feedbacks you received. Any other questions? Other things to add, sorry. No?
No, just similar to what you said, is just give yourself time. You really want to come back having set yourself up for success. So yeah. I think that's one of the most important things, is time to really understand and be able to apply that feedback.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one. Like time, don't rush. Don't feel like you have to bump to the retest right after the course. Like you got time, and it's cool to take the time to assimilate these things. It's only going to make you better. Right. When going to a Park 1 or 2 course, should you already be able to do all the mandatory maneuvers at the beginning of the course, or can you expect to learn them in the course? Breen, do you want to answer this one?
It would be great if you knew all the mandatory maneuvers, and then you could kind of refine, but obviously that's not going to happen all the time. But the Park 1's a 2-day course, so if you can't do a 180, it's pretty tricky to learn a 180 in 2 days. So yeah, I would say if you've got a fairly strong understanding of the standard, then that would be a good start because it's such a short course.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that would allow you, that would set a good basis for you to learn through the course, right? And refine these skills. So it's important that you come prepared and you have touched on jumps before, you have touched on some boxes before, on some ride-on tubes before. I'm speaking Park 1. And if you're going to the Park 2, well, then obviously like you'll have hop on some bigger features. You'll have a great mileage in the park. That's mostly these things is if you look at the list of mandatory maneuvers and if you read them and that scares you, so that's probably because you should go and put the mileage in the park before attending this course as an instructor in training to teach these maneuvers, because that could become potentially a safety issue on the course as well. So that's definitely something to take in consideration before signing up for these courses.
I just want to add maybe one thing to that. Well, two things. The first thing is that, like Breen said, it's very tricky to learn some of the more advanced maneuvers in the 2 or the 3 days that are allocated to the Park 1 or the Park 2 courses. But also, it maybe depends on the mindset of the person going into the course. If you're going into the course, not necessarily expecting to pass or hoping to pass, but really going there to get some feedback from evaluators that have done this for a long time, and you just want to improve your riding, and throughout the course you're being led through these maneuvers in a safe way, then sure. But again, like Breen said, it might not be realistic to be able to achieve those maneuvers in 2 days. But then the other thing I wanted to add is we have to remember what these courses are designed for, and they're to have the people that pass the courses to be trained instructors, so being comfortable taking a group into the park to be able to show these maneuvers to people that are trying to learn. So of course, if you're attending these courses, it's in the mindset of trying to learn this to be able to teach it to somebody else and to be able to do the demos of the standard of a qualified instructor.
Yeah, definitely. And the demonstration standard, like and if I'm speaking Part 1, the demonstration standard is different a little bit, slightly different than the mandatory maneuvers themselves. So you need to, at the very bare minimum, be able to do these things. So that's something to consider reading through the course guide. Definitely these courses are designed for progression as well. So these are continuous learning programs. So you're definitely going to improve and learn through the course, the park course, same as the other courses. But yes, since it's in an environment where you could potentially hurt yourself if you're not familiar with, that's a good idea to get there really ready. Okay, there's a last question. So how to register for a member session? From our website, in the member session section, you can click on registering. It's done. You'll need to connect in your member profile, just like any other courses. Something to note for the member session is that they're available in French or English. Some of them might be bilingual at time, but most of the time they're going to be in a unilingual language, so either French or English. So make sure you check for which session you're registering, especially if you're on this side of the country, Eastern, because you'll be likely having the session in the language that's offered. And also check the topic of the session. We are offering specific topic, like could be freestyle carving, free ride, prep level 2, prep level 3. There's varied sessions that we're offering, so that's really important that you check the topic before registering. So that does allow us to get into these specific when you show up for the session. Pretty much it. team, did you wanted to say or add anything to this session, or we're good? Any open thoughts? Good, sweet. All right, there's no further question in the chat. So just a compliment, great advice. Thank you, Pam. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for attending. Thanks tech team. That was really good session. Thank you very much and have a good evening, everybody. Bye tout le monde.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.